Good morning, Papa Bruce here again. I'm going to do a little video today, basically on my desert overnight pack and what do I carry. I had a question from one of the subscribers that said basically he has a base weight of 24 pounds and he has a difficult time getting it less than that. And he specifically asked, what do I use for my sleep system in the desert and my cook system in the desert? Well, we'll get to that. But first of all, I'll just go ahead and load out the pack with what I have in here for a typical nighttime desert hike in the summer when it's still hot. Now, right now, the temperatures have dropped a bit, but a couple of weeks ago, the highs were in the 90s, and the nighttime temperature, which is much more important to me, was in the 60s. So it's pretty easy to keep pretty comfortable when it only gets down to 60 at night. I still carry a shelter, and this is not the bag that I carry it in, but this is the world famous sports bivy tent, and I have already reviewed this tent in another video, so if you want to check it out, it's not a tent really, well, it's a bivy, and it's a couple of pounds, so it keeps me zipped up. So if the creepy crawlers in the desert want to come see me, and I've never had that happen, but nevertheless, I do use this. So that's the shelter that I generally use in the desert. Now that's if I'm going to be out for a night or two. If I'm going to be out for any longer period of time and going to be in one area, not necessarily hiking through on trails from one camp to another, but if I'm going to set up a camp, I'll probably use one of my other tents that might be a little bigger. One of them I really like is an Alps, A-L-P-S, and put a picture of it right up here in the corner. It served me quite well, and it's pretty roomy. Now, back to the pack. This is a REI Flash 52, 52 liter pack, and the way I have it loaded down now, with that particular shelter, it's right at, right around 14 pounds. As far as what's inside, well, let's take a look at what's on top. My cooking gear. This was one of the questions. And if you recall, when you read or look at some of my other videos, I believe in keeping things light but simple but comfortable as well. This cook kit I've had for a whole bunch of years. Whoa, and it's I believe it's an old MRS cook kit. I think it says something on here. Oh, that weight also included that fuel. And it's worked real well. It comes with this little lid, which acts as I guess a mini frying pan. It's a premise. And anyhow, I have used this little lid as a double boiler. Fill this full of water, get it going, and then put that on the top. So if you want to slow cook something, it works really well. But I usually, not always, but often will use dehydrated food. But I'll always need to boil water because I always have my coffee. The stove itself is one of the little tiny 1 ounce or whatever, lightweight BSR stoves that you see many people using. Very inexpensive, but work quite well. Now I have also used on some of my hikes alcohol stoves or even little wood burners, and I did do a video called Stove Talk, and if you want to check that out, you'll see the review of some of the stoves and how they burn and burn time, etc. Little rag to clean up with, and then of course my Bic lighter. So that's my stove, my cook kit, and all together, I made some notes here. It's a little over a pound, 18.5 ounces, and that's what I use for cooking. Oh, I also have a little cup. I guess I wouldn't have to have this, but I'd like to be comfortable, and I really enjoy having a nice little cup, lightweight cup that I can use for my coffee in the morning, as well as my nice Sea to Summit long spoon. That's the cook kit. That answers that question. And let's see what else we have in here. Let's go ahead and pull out my sleep system. First of all, I like a pillow. So I have my little pillow. It's only 5 ounces. Little cocoon pillow. Got it from REI. I don't know if it's an REI brand or not, but I've had it for lots of years. And then the Stratus REI sleeping pad. Yes, it's an inflatable pad. Yes, it's very comfortable. And I've used these pads for lots of years. Matter of fact, I had one and the valve went bad, so I brought it back to REI. And they asked me if I had it over a year, and I said I really don't know. I don't think it's been too long. So they looked it up on their computer, and I had bought it in 2007. And that was, so I had it for over 10 years before it bit the dust. No, they did not give me another one, but I bought one anyway. The Stratus, it's a relatively reasonable price bag, or pad, and I use that. And then my sleeping bag in the winter, in the summertime, in the mountains, is simply what they call the Green Patrol bag. It's part of the military system. I believe it's called the Military Sleep System, and it consists of this patrol bag, very, very lightweight. As a matter of fact, 40 ounces, so a little over a couple pounds. Yeah, I suppose you could get lighter. But in addition to this, that particular military system has a black bag that goes over this, and then a bivy that goes over all of it. And I'm sure if you look on YouTube here, you'll find lots of reviews of that. But this is what I use in the summertime. Now, I say summertime. The temperatures in the desert, of course, could be over 100 degrees, but generally they're going to be down in the 60s or 70s. And if they're down into the 60s, maybe the high 50s, I'll just use this bag. If they get much lower than that, I'll go with a warmer bag. And I just recently purchased a Big Agnes bag that has a sleeve for the air mattress. And I'll probably be using that for the cooler days. Because right now, even though it's not November yet, the end of October, we've had a little bit of a cool spell come through here. So it's beautiful hiking during the day, but at night it's getting down to the 40s. And while that would probably work, I prefer to be comfortable. I didn't put it in the bag, but in addition to that, and I sort of part of my sleep system, is my puffy jacket, my down jacket. Again, $100 REI jacket. Serves me well, and it's almost part of my sleep system because I'll often wear that to bed, and particularly if I want to leave the sleeping bag unzipped, and that way it helps keep me warm. But I always carry that pretty much anywhere I'm hiking, unless of course it's just a day hike, because it's very comfortable and it's nice to have in case of an emergency. Well, let's see. Okay, the other thing I take with me on any overnight is, of course, a water bottle. Several water bottles, actually. And in addition to that, my filtration system. And I have been using the Sawyer Squeeze, for a number of years. And I use it in conjunction with this, I think it's called Canuck bag. Again, I think it was in my video of the third video of when I was out hunting for the white-faced Cucamonga. I demonstrated how this works, or actually I demonstrated how how it didn't work. But I do like it. It's handy. And of course, when I'm in the desert, unless it's an unusually wet year, my biggest problem or biggest weight is water. But what you see here, my sleep system, my cooking, my shelter, my pack, as I said, I'd have to weigh it out again, but by the time I throw my ditty in there, it's going to be right around 14 pounds. So that's about 10 pounds less than was mentioned in the comment by my subscriber. Now, the biggest thing in the desert, of course, as I said, is water. So I always carry, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 liters of water, depending on where I'm going. If I'm going somewhere in the desert where I've been before, and I know there's water there, then I can carry enough for the day, and probably a little extra for the nighttime, where if I didn't find water, I wouldn't have to use that nighttime water to cook with. I just use it in the morning for, of course, coffee, and then to hike back out. Anyway, I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I'd use in the desert in the summertime, when it's colder out. Most of the stuff will work with a better sleeping bag. If I'm going to be in there for a longer period of time, as I said, I might use a little larger shelter than the bivy. But the bivy you can check out in one of my other videos. And also, well, I guess that pretty much covers it. So I hope this has given you a little bit of information. It's not a lot of new ideas, but it's what I do. And I do it quite often. And it is suited for the desert climate. Anyway, I do hope that you're getting some information that's useful out of these videos, and I would like you, if you would, to please subscribe to my channel. And remember, keep hiking.